Morning, everyone.
Morning, Randy. Morning. Hey, you might notice this is a new mug. It says FJ, FJ. Randy got this for me for Christmas.
Oh, man.
Come on.
He gets you.
Your name's so good they have to say it twice.
No, don't you know FJ, FJ?
Hey, this is my thing, Father John Francis Jirak.
Oh, I didn't know what you
my dad's name is Francis.
Right. 10 years ago when I moved here, that's all anybody called him was FJ, FJ, FJ.
I thought I wanted to get a license.
How cool is that?
That's nice.
That's really nice.
So when I'm gone, he'll remember me.
I don't know.
Randy.
You're gonna miss me when
I don't know if I
I'm
can
gone.
forget you when you're gone. I don't know if you have to give me a mug for
Now
that.
stop it. I'm going to get you one.
Okay.
Well, Randy, we are here with John Tolberd. He is a seminarian from our parish. He is what's called a lifer. So a lifer means in modern day, lifer is someone who went to seminary right out of high school. A lifer used to be somebody who went to seminary beginning in high school. So they went junior high and then they went to seminary. We only have one priest in the diocese that's the old-time lifer, Father Dan Spexarth, I believe.
Really? Okay.
But John is the new lifer. And so we're going to talk about something that's going to be interesting. Okay. That is this. John is going to be ordained a deacon on May.
The Thursday before Memorial Day is just what I keep saying. Because I actually don't know what date it is.
You guys keep talking. I'll do the
Okay,
next
so
one.
we're going to get back with you on that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I remember being ordained a deacon in 2001. So that's 20 years.
Wow.
So going to be 20 years.
Okay,
Wow.
pardon the interruption.
Yes.
May 27th, the anniversary of Father Matt and I's priestly ordination.
Oh,
And a week
Oh.
after I leave town.
thank
That's
God.
so sad.
Oh, that's
Actually,
sad.
take that back. Ours is the 26th. All right.
Oh my. That's like a date you gotta have down.
That's all right. It's kind of like a spouse who barely remembers their anniversary.
Hey,
That's
not
fine.
to eat.
Church.
You know,
Sorry.
3 or 4 days this way or that. It's all
Yeah.
So, when you are ordained a deacon, people don't really notice, or it's not really celebrated. But actually, for a guy, it's more significant in many ways than priesthood ordination because it's when you take the promise of celibacy.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So
that's
before
when-
that, you can do whatever you want? Like, you can do whatever you want
more-
right now?
I don't know if I
I
can
had way more anxiety
I've
before
heard that.
my diaconate.
Really?
Priesthood. That was you're already you're married. After you're a deacon. So John is going to be ordained a deacon. He'll be making the promise of celibacy. So that means basically he is no longer free to marry. And
Sorry, girls.
sorry, girl.
Oh, man.
So we're gonna talk about is in order to make the commitment to celibacy, is it necessary that a guy have first dated? So I was engaged, all right, to get married before I went to, not while I was in seminary, before I was in seminary, and so I had that experience. John does not have that experience, so we're just gonna talk a little bit about that today. It's is that necessary?
Right, you know what you're missing, but you don't.
I don't know if that can be that succinctly put.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone, even married people, are attracted to other people. It's not once you've given yourself completely.
That's a lie.
to one person-
That's a lie.
I mean, I've never been it. Maybe it's different, but that's what I've seen. I guess. I mean, just because you've given yourself entirely to another doesn't mean you're automatically shut off from others. And so celibacy is more just a continually recommitting to the church. I think every day, you continually wake up and say, okay, I give myself to you, and I'm available. Forgone a certain level of intimacy for, and in my opinion, a deeper level, a spiritual level, an emotional level. So is it necessary that I have dated? I don't really think so. I think when it comes to counseling, maybe it might be helpful, but I think a heart still knows what it is to be unrequited, even if they didn't date.
Celibacy's life-giving. Is dating life-giving?
It can be.
It can be in ways, I guess, but not
Not really
a
always.
complete fulfillment.
Have you dated?
That's nothing against the 3 girls that I dated.
At one time?
Can I tag them?
No, what am I gonna say? No.
Can I tag them when we post this?
No, actually, I still, actually, all 3 of them, I still keep in touch with. I mean, to some degree, you know, as friends. So,
Yeah.
They're great women. I mean, that's the whole thing about dating is that like we shouldn't just date frivolously. Like, it's like a discernment. I mean, celibacy. If you're preparing for celibacy, you don't just make that decision on a whim. Be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'll be a deacon next year. Like, there's a reason that we have at least 5 years of preparation for that. And so, like, that's kind of begs a good question too. Of like, discernment is something that has to take place for all of us. Beginning in high school, probably. I mean, even before high school, in some ways, we wouldn't call it that. But yeah. So what is truly life giving? And that's what I love. I mean, it's maybe a little beyond the conversation here, but first reading for today, Isaiah talks about the heart,
Right.
And talks about, you know, if you look, like, raise your eyes and look, and your heart will throb and it will overflow. And so this whole question of celibacy, of dating, of marriage, and all of that, and this unrequited love, that's me.
So
comes back
basically,
down to Isaiah.
was it necessary that your heart throbbed for a woman before?
I think that's
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's in the mind of the church too. They talk about, like, you have to understand what you're sacrificing. You can, if a person doesn't know what it is to, if a man doesn't know what it is to love a woman, how can he know what it is to, like, have children?
Yeah.
And you're a spiritual father as much as, you know, a husband, a dad is a spiritual father, and an actual, like, his actual father, material father for his children. Like, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Is can you understand that? And so, yeah, dating gives us a glimpse into what it is to desire children, and to be in a context to do that, to have children. But it's not like that's the only spot you can desire children.
Do you think celibacy is what keeps a lot of the boys from even going into the seminary? And then later on, do you think that's the problem with the scandals on the East Coast and everywhere else besides Wichita? So,
Randy this
is that too heavy?
Table standing up.
Is that too heavy? Is that too heavy? This is the good stuff. All right, we'll have to do a part 2. All right. But I want to know what,
Well,
I mean,
after this weekend.
I mean, that seems to be you're just flying out of here.
Packing my bags after this, running away.
No, Fulton Sheen said there's 2 ways to God. One is through sin, and one is through beauty and grace. And so, like, there is a kind of a notion out there. You've had to have dated, you've had to experience these things. That way, you know what you've tasted it, and so you know what you're missing. So you know what the commitment is. And you know, I've seen guys who haven't dated and they fall in love, maybe in the seminary as a priest, and they leave. But I also know guys who have dated and do the same thing. So I think, you know, for me, like, even in the midst of sin, I've learned, you know, God has allowed lessons in the sense of, like, you know, I dated a girl for 5 years, so I'm like, I mean, am I still attracted? You know, am I still a man? Yes, but, like, do I know, like, the reality, have some picture because of my experience? I'm like, no, I'm not. I've committed to the Lord, and I'm faithful. Just like I think that's the case of married men too. I mean, it's like, no, I know what this is about. I made this commitment, and I've never, so I'm almost, or gonna be, I'm like 20 years of this commitment, and there's never been a moment where I'm like, oh, I wish I should have married, or, I mean, honest to God,
Wow.
I mean, that's a grace or
That's
gift.
amazing.
I'm still a man, but there's never been one regret. And, like, to me, Randy, like, the celibacy thing was appealing to me because it's like there's something for a man, I think, that's like the sacrificial part of it is attractive. Like, like hard, I don't want something to eat. I want, like, there's something there's something that draws you to that. It's like, yeah, this is going to take a heck of a commitment. I want to be in. You know, it's
Right.
like,
Right.
It's kind of like, you know, a kid's playing on a sports team. They get the opportunity for a serious challenge at the next level, or an easy way that you don't have to have any effort. which one do they choose?
Right.
Most often they choose the one where there's more sacrifice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Randy, I think as Father Jirak kept saying, like the biggest word that ties, I think, our whole conversation together and your big, heavy question is actually just commitment.
Right.
Like for John, actually, that's a huge thing to be a lifer these days because the percentage of the guys that make it from high school all the way up is very low.
It is.
And so I think the appeal is actually like that you are capable of making a powerful and meaningful commitment.
Yeah.
And how often do we instill that in the young men today? Unfortunately, not very often, I think. And so I think all of this comes down to commitment. And with great commitment, generally comes a great fervor and a great love. And that's what we see in those powerful marriages, what you see in the powerful priests, and that's what you see in the guys that are getting ready to be ordained is a zeal that arises out of a manly commitment to say, like, I am capable of something more.
Yeah.
And so that's the challenge, I think, to young guys and to priests today, to myself, to these guys, is what is the commitment the Lord's calling you to, and how are you living that out?
You know, and Father Derek is like, I think we got to get past the mentality of like sexuality is more than just the skin.
Right,
It's
right,
you know what I'm saying?
right.
I mean, like that's how we've reduced it to the skin.
Right.
Like, holy cow, sexuality is much more than just the skin.
Right.
Yeah.
And we are made as sexual beings,
Right.
male and female. And so anyway, this is a great conversation.
So great.
Yeah. So
I feel like we could sit here for another however long this is.
we're gonna bring you back.
We're
to
coming
the
back.
show.
When are we doing it?
Yeah.
Tomorrow? Tomorrow? Part 2? This was so good. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you,
All right,
Randy.
thank you, everyone.